domestic informal sector to pay taxation because you do not want to tax poverty. So position to properly segment the market. We should be able to develop solutions for each of this sector, consider developing tax policy without bringing lots of complication in order to protect some of these sectors so that as businesses grow, that SME is actually the multinational of the future. So it will be very sad if at the young stage of the business, it is killed because of non-compliance that maybe resulted for an understanding of the laws. As a tax advisor, I also do a lot of tax trainings. And sometimes I ask my audience, why didn't you attend that Revenue Authority training? And they told me, we are afraid of them. So we'd rather come you train us, you know? So how can we work together as private sector and the Revenue Authority to drive the knowledge that we have so as to demystify those complexities that everyone is talking about?
Thank you so much for that. And ladies and gentlemen, we have about 30 questions already asked. I would like to ask you to help me choose the best questions. How? On that same Slido that you have asked the question, there is a thumbs up at the end there, and you can vote to help me know that this question must be answered. So if you don't mind, please go back there and vote for the best question that you would like answered. If it hasn't been asked, you can as well type in your question. There are quite a number here, Commissioner, so I hope you're ready for this. If you don't mind, Tech Team, you can actually display the questions just on the front of the screens, not the back, because we don't want to scare everybody, just here, so we can see. There's a question here. How can KRA deploy risk-based early warning systems to identify struggling MSMEs and support them before they exit the formal tax net? How can KRA deploy risk-based early warning systems to identify struggling MSMEs and support them before they exit the formal tax net? Don't know what you would say on that, sir.
Thank you. That's also a very good question. Yeah? Let me start by saying this first, because it's very important that if you're talking about risk, first of all, you must talk about data, because data is what will point to you. It is the data that you get first. Then that data, when you do, you can get insights from that data. So using data analytics, you can be able to get insight and intelligence, and you can use that for compliance purposes. So if you've looked keenly at what KRA has done, is first to be able to have a better visibility of the taxpayer's transaction. And this is useful. So if you see the tool that we are using, for example, right now, is on asking taxpayers to onboard on eTIMS. It's a legal requirement. When you board on eTIMS, then your sales data is available. We can be able to see. You can be able also to see the purchases, whether you've imported or whether you bought from other taxpayers. That is their sales. It's your purchase, so that information is available. Then we be able to do insight. And by the way, just in addition to that, you can see also on the layer that for VAT right now, with that information, we can also pre-fill the return of the taxpayers. You are able to see information already available for your sales and purchases on your face. And we want to extend that also to the income tax, and also support those people who are filing other taxes, for example, individual taxes. We want to pre-fill the information because we've got the information. So what you're doing behind is to get all this information, but develop a very strong analytic team. We think it's going to be a center of excellence team that can be able to analyze this data, and that will not only help us to identify the risky taxpayers, but it will also point out to the taxpayers that we think are going to exit the register, or there's a risk around them, so that we need to work with them. So all these tools, we are developing them as quick as possible. The largest information now we have as authority right now that we are analyzing and looking at is the eTIMS information, and it's very useful. We are building it over a period of time. We should then be able to have data for 2-3 years, and we can use it for very many other purposes. Also, just to mention something very important here, is that we have got, for those taxpayers who are experiencing distress, and they are falling back on their tax obligation, we also reach out to them, because we've got all this arrangement of a payment plan for taxes. So we allow you to pay tax over a period of time. And something we link with that which is important. For those ones, for example, who have got these pending bills that was mentioned before,
Yeah.
when you come forward and you mention, and you say, we have not been paid, so we owe you tax. We have a discussion and we give you a payment plan. Sometimes we stretch them beyond 6 months to 12 months, just to allow the taxpayers to comply. And when they get paid, then we ask them to come forward and make payment.
All right, thank you so much for that context. I must confess I have been called before. I'm an SME, so I think it's there, and I'm very neutral. There is that table question, check it out. It has been voted the highest. You'll be able to see it on one of the screens. You'll come back to that. But let me pick another one here, and I think maybe I could be helped here, Paris, by you. Not because you look like Gen Z, but because I feel like you're close to them. This is the question about, could Kra have a youth advisory council? If yes, why haven't youths been involved in decisions? If no, when will Kra consider youths in this jobless country? This one is not very happy. But I don't know, have you been engaged? I know Commissioner would have an answer on that, but what are your thoughts on this Youth Advisory Council, Kra?
If I choose to answer here as Paris.
Yes,
as a Gen
Paris,
Z.
yes, as Paris.
I'm not sure if they have a youth advisory, and if it is there, maybe I would also be happy to learn about it and also definitely contribute to it.
Okay, that's
Yes,
okay. That's
yes.
a safe answer. I like that. I like that. Paris, sorry, I almost called it Kristen. Does this happen globally where you see these councils like a youth council?
I think why this conversation is becoming critical at this point in time is because the landscape is changing,
Yes.
and most specifically the tax landscape as well. So we do a lot of government engagement with respect to tax policy development. That is a critical aspect in developing policy to mirror the developments currently happening. So for example, there's a lot of reforms going through in the digital service tax sector.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's where, and even the future of work is changing, and a lot of reviews are going into that sector, mainly driven by the youth, because this will be the critical taxpayers of the future. So not a council in itself, but what we have done is that when we do public participation through the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, we invite youths to discuss some of the challenges that they're having, so as we ensure that the tax policies development are mirroring what is on the ground. Because if that's left behind, you'll end up either in a situation where there's double taxation or a situation of non-taxation. So I think the Youth Council is it will help in order to share some of the ideas as to how to protect these novel businesses and to help them scale,
Okay.
and at the same time drive compliance within the sector.
Okay, I love that. But I'll come to you later. I would like this question that has been voted by the majority on the special table to be addressed. Commissioner, you ready?